Hi guys, Squirrel here and welcome to episode 2 of This May Contain Nuts. And I just want to start out by saying thank you so much to everybody for sending in questions as I asked. A number of people got it wrong and started to @mention me, which is what I asked them not to do. Again, just to reiterate, if you want to ask a question on This May Contain Nuts, just create a tweet and put hashtag TMCN on it. That's all you need to do. Nothing else. You don't need to mention me on it. You just need to hashtag TMCN. I'll leave an example in the video description in case you want to leave a question for next time. But let's kick off. We are in Oban, up in Scotland. In case you don't know what Oban is right up here in Scotland. I've actually been here when I did a motorbike trip. I don't know if I told you about this. Back in 2005, I did a motorbike trip all around the coast of Britain. I started out in London, in Greenwich actually. And I went clockwise all the way around the coast, literally following the coast like this. And we got up to Oban up here, and we stayed in a hotel. And the hotel overlooks the island of, I think the island's called Balamory, which was a kids' TV show. And you can actually take a ferry over to it. I don't think it's modelled in this, but actually it might be. You might be able to see it. I don't know. I'll have a look in a second. And then, then I went all the way up here, up towards the John O'Groats up here. And this is Wick. Wick is fairly near John O'Groats. And we're going to take a job from today from Oban up to Wick, and I'm going to answer some questions that you guys have asked. That's the general plan. So it's like 8 AM. I'm parked next to a green Renault, looking as ugly as ever, as it always does. Squirrel, why do you hate Renault? Well, it's not exactly king of style, is it? Let's just leave it there. I think the actual pickup point is just outside of, just north of the city, so we're going to drive out now. This is a Scania, as you might, sorry, Scania? Derp. This is a Volvo. This is the Volvo FH13 from Oahaha, version 19 of the mod. And yes, it's in my mod spreadsheet. And yes, it looks lovely. I've configured it up very nicely. We've even got indicators and all kinds of reversing lights. Let's get it started up here. You get these kind of indicator lights. If you stick it into reverse, you get these wonderful lights that really do illuminate what you're doing. We put side lights down the side, and the tyres are 50k wheels, and the tyres is another. It's in the mod spreadsheet. It's a pack of tyres that you can get that modifies the 50k wheels and allows the lettering to be painted. So it does. It's called a Goodyear thing. So you've got either outline lettering, filled in lettering, or a white wall. I don't really like the white wall, but, you know, your mileage may vary. You may indeed like it. We're going to put lights on for now. I don't think we need the overheads, roof auxiliaries on. Let's turn those off for a second. There we go. The sun's going to come up. You can see it over there. Remember, Eurotruck now has proper positioning of the sun, depending on the time of year. Now, because we're in October... not a million miles away from December, I might add. Basically, the sun is quite low, particularly because we're up in Scotland. We're very, we're very north, if you like, in the world. And given that it's October, the sun doesn't really get that high in winter in Scotland. So as you can see, it's 8 in the morning, and the sun hasn't even managed to make its way over that hill yet. So anyway, let's crack on. Let's get a move on. Let's reset my track IR, get into position. You can see my little pumpkin. It is Halloween this weekend, so I thought I'd get a little pumpkin in here. One feature which I don't like about this truck is when you look right like this with track IR, you can stick your head out. Now, it's kind of handy, but when you just want to look over here in your truck, you kind of can't do it. But some people like it, some people don't. It kind of feels unnatural to me to be able to do that. You know, you can't, you can actually reverse with your head out this window, which is a bit weird. It's convenient, but it's weird. You know, I don't mind that, but... Anywho, I think I need some fuel. I'm on like half a tank of fuel, I think. So we're going to keep our eye out for a fuel station. We must remember to drive on the left because I'm back in England, Scotland technically, back in the UK. So stand a line there. We've got a built-in sat-nav. Another Renault. Wow. I feel... The presence of Renault is strong in this video. Beautiful coast as ever. Look at this. Gorgeous. The actual layout is nothing like this in Oban, but, you know, it's artistic license, isn't it? It still looks great. I think that's... Is that possibly the mainland over there, or is that meant to be Ballymorey? I'm not sure. Ballymorey is characterised by having coloured houses, coloured buildings. And you can actually see them from Oban. Hello, what's going on here then? What's going on here? Have we had an accident down there, AI? I wonder if I can sneak around. This is probably a really bad idea, but... Yeah, it is a bad idea. I think there's been a problem down there. I'm just wondering if I can sneak through that gap here. From my experience in Scotland, it's not actually this busy, usually. I'm probably gonna take a little bit of damage on one of these cars. Oh no, there we go. We're through. Oh my god, look at this queue. Let's get out of here. Traffic chaos in Oban. Blimey. Right, thankfully we're leaving all that behind. Right, okay, let's get on with some questions, shall we? Now, I've kind of worked through these in order that I received them. So when I was looking at the hashtag TMCN, I just worked through it in order. The first one started in October 11th. October 11th, I think, was the first date. I think it was the date that I released the video, I think. So that's probably why it's October the 11th. But I'm just going to work through them in order. I've lifted out of my... I've gone through them all so far, so I've lifted out my favourite ones that I'm going to do. I've got more than one episode, so we're probably good for at least 2 episodes. I do need you to keep them coming. So if you want this to carry on as a series, and there's actually a question, are you going to make this into a weekly thing? That is literally dependent on you guys. So if you guys can feed me enough questions... Look at this. If you feed me enough questions to make a weekly video, then I'll try to do that. I'll try to do a daily video of this. A daily video? A weekly video. A weekly video. Let me correct myself. This may contain nuts, but I need your questions. If we run out of questions, I can't make the videos. So keep them coming. And please try not to ask something that's already been asked before, because, you know, it's not going to get answered. Wow, look at this. Traffic light control bridge. Nice. Complete with stop-start AI. So, I need your questions, peeps. So keep them coming. Try to get a feel for the kind of things that I'm lifting out, because there are a number of questions there that I've just ignored. Some of them are daft, some of them are, Squirrel, how do I do this with mods? I'm not going to answer that in a video, am I? Technical support questions are not going to happen. And there's also things like, what do you think of the government, blah 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 blah. And I'm seriously sitting there going, dude, I am not going to answer a government, a political question in a gaming video. You know, it's just not going to happen. So I'm ignoring those two. But there were lots of good ones, lots of good questions. I'm pleased to say. And I'm going to work through them. Right, where the heck is the trailer? Oh, that's it. Camouflaged ahead of us. There we go. W Duraplate 02 ERB CA 12 tons. Okay, that doesn't tell me anything. Oban to Wick. Moo to you too. 12 ton trailer, box trailer. Should be relatively straightforward. ERB is presumably the manufacturer. Look at the lighting on that. Look at the state of these lights. They're full on crazy, but they're awesome. I mean, at night time, these reversing lights are a godsend. Okay, let's have a quick look before we leave. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Black truck with a white trailer. Oh yeah. Now that's how we roll. Let's just commence our journey. Right, the first question comes in from the Stig. His Twitter name is @Stig101566. You are the first person, my friend, you are the first person to have a question on This May Contain Nuts. Salute to you, sir. And his question is... Hang on a second. Oh, we're good. Fort William. Wow. His question is, what map mods do you use, and what is your favourite mod truck? What map mods do you use, and what is your favourite mod truck? Now, firstly, I just want to point out that he asked the question in exactly the right way. He didn't mention me, he just put a question with hashtag TMCN. Perfect, that's all I need. So, what map mods do you use? Right, I use quite a lot of... Because I tend to review a lot of mods, I tend to use a lot of maps. I have a couple of main profiles. One is called my career profile, and I've had that since I started playing Euro Truck almost 3 years ago. On that particular profile, I run all the SCS maps, including, you know, the DLC, going east, that kind of thing, Scandinavia. And I also run Pro Mod. I'm running Pro Mod right now, which is why we're going from Oban up to Wick. I run Pro Mods, and I stick in things like Rust Map and EAA Brazil, because they all work together. So that's my career profile. I use those maps on that profile. On another profile I have, which I call my research profile, I have Hacked Money. And the reason I have Hacked Money is because I created that profile back in the day, literally 2.5 years ago. I didn't have enough money on my career profile to keep reviewing trucks. Because every time I changed truck, it was costing me like 100,000. And I didn't have that money to throw away at the time. So I had this research profile with Hacked Money on it. And on that profile, I run TSM. Now TSM, you probably know Pro Mods, you know TSM. TSM is the one that goes down into North Africa and down into Turkey and Greece and all that kind of thing. And that also works with Rust Map, so I tend to run TSM with Rust Map as well. So, and then I have profiles for the other maps that I use, which I use sort of less frequently, I'd say. Things like Moldova, MHA, Serbia, Hungary, Romania, and I even have a profile for the multiplayer on its own, because multiplayer, you can't really use mods on multiplayer, so I have a profile just dedicated to MP. So they're the map mods I use. In terms of what's my favourite truck mod, blimey. Oh, let me just add that I kind of have a lot of mods that I stock mods that I use a lot. So things like Jazzy Cat trailers will often feature across, you know, most of those profiles. I have a ton of mods, and I enable them different configurations on different profiles depending on what I'm trying to do. And that's how I run my life. Basically, it's like organised chaos is what it is. I think we'll drop to side light now. We don't need to blind anybody, we'll just have some daylight running lights. So I have Jazzy Cat trailers, some tyres and rims, packs, some beacons, some Hella illuminator lamps, just to accessorise my truck. And they will feature on most of my profiles. In terms of my favourite truck, it's hard to say. There are a lot of good trucks and truck mods out there, but probably one of my favourites, which would be definitely near the top of the list, so we'll just put it to the top of the list for argument's sake, is the Scania T mod from RGL. Now, the Scania T mod, the reason I kind of picked that one is because it's like a hybrid American truck almost. It's, you know, in Euro Truck you don't see American trucks unless you have a mod, and out of all the mods that you can get, that one is a very high quality mod. It has a lot of accessories, everything is done to a high level, a high standard, and it's not a cab over, it's more like an American style truck with the engine sticking out the front, and that makes for some difficult and interesting driving on the narrow roads of Euro Truck. So for that reason, or for all those reasons, I would pick that one. But equally, you know, Oaha's Volvo, Oaha's DAF, or Scania RGL, you know, all of these are very, very good mods. So there is no real winner here, I'm just picking Scania T for argument's sake. Next question, as we approach Fort William, which is more of a drive-through town if I remember. This is what I love about Scotland, is all the locks, look at this, beautiful. Next question is from Brandon Fink, and his Twitter name is @Diverter7. What is your general opinion about first-person shooters? This one caught my eye because I didn't really understand what he was trying to get at first. I thought, why, like, what does he mean by that question? We're speeding, by the way, that's why I'm slowing down. 30 miles per hour through Fort William, as through any town in England and Wales and Scotland. It's 30 miles per hour limit. And I know there are cameras, and then there you go. You see that national speed sign there? White with a black stripe? That means national speed limit applies, which on a single carriageway in the UK is 60 miles per hour. Just in case you didn't know, and there is 60. I love them. I love first-person shooters. I really do. I think they're absolutely brilliant. If you remember, well, if you don't know, I was there from the very start of FPS games. Even in the days of Doom, which is, you know, recognized as one of the first-person shooters, I would argue the toss slightly on that one. Because I remember back in the early 80s playing in the arcades, like a tank commander game, where you had to stand up and you had two joysticks which were controlled your left and right track on your tank, and you looked through this kind of window into the world, and your position was first person. You were first person in a tank and you were shooting other tanks. Now if that's not a first person shooter, I don't know what is. But there's probably one even before that, I don't know. But I was playing those games back then. There is nothing quite like first person. There's nothing quite like it. Like, this is first person. And most simulations are, like in cockpits of, you know, aircraft, trucks, cars, trains. They're all first person. They're not shooters, but they're first person. There's nothing quite like the immersion of a first person game or simulation. And that reason I love games like Battlefield. I love, you know, the first person shooter is something I have always played since it ever was created. I've always played it, and I still do to this day. I still play first-person shooters. So my opinion about them is they're awesome, and I love them. I don't like over-the-shoulder shooters. I think Gears of War is an over-the-shoulder. I don't like it. Like, third-person is meh. Over-the-shoulder I find really annoying. I actually find your character blocks off a chunk of the screen, and I hate it. I just want to go first person every time I see it. So that's just me throwing in, you know, an opinion there. I don't like over the shoulder, but I love first person. Next question comes from Max. Max Josp97. He says, what do you think of the new Elite Dangerous DLC Horizons? Will you play it when it's released? Now, you may remember I did a couple of Elite Dangerous videos back in October, November, when I was playing the game when it came out. I was one of the alpha backers. I threw in something like £200 into that game as an alpha backer, because I wanted it to succeed. It's got a place in my heart in terms of games, because I remember the original Elite. I played it so much. You might see Nessie, by the way. Nessie does appear. Oh, there's Nessie, I think. I can see it. You see it in the distance there? I can see Nessie. You don't see it very often, but there it is. Can you see it? Just one of my mirrors now. Loch Ness Monster. Just about to go under. If you missed it, play the video back. You'll see it in the distance, a little white thing. Oh no, I should have got some fuel. Oh well, never mind. Can we see it from here, maybe? I think it's gone under now. It's scripted to appear every now and again, and it follows a set path, and I have seen it before. Question was Elite Dangerous, right. Elite Dangerous is a brilliant game, it really is. However, it's also an extremely immersive game. It's all about exploration, it's all about combat, it's all about trading, it's all of these things. And it's absolutely vast, it's utterly huge. I mean, people are still discovering systems and having them named after themselves, even now. Now, the problem with that is, back when Elite came out, I had all the time in the world to play that game, and that's what I did. I played it solidly. I played nothing else for weeks. I was so obsessed with it. But now, I don't have the time to do that. I really don't. As much as I would love to play Elite Dangerous, I really can't do it. I don't have the time that is required to sink into that game, unless I played that and nothing else, and that's not going to happen. Therefore, Elite Dangerous Horizons is something that I think is a brilliant addition to the game. The close quarter combat stuff was good, but, you know, ability to land on a planet, that kind of thing, is what I always wanted to do in Elite Dangerous, in Elite, and I think, you know, that's going to be amazing for anybody that plays it. But good luck to them, because I can't. And it's a shame, but if I could clone myself, I would have one of myself play Elite Dangerous. I really would. Such is my, you know, my love for that game. There's Nessie. You see him? I think. Oh, I'm not sure. I think I caught just a shadow in the reflection. You probably think I'm imagining this, but you need to play the video back and still frame it and have a look. I'm not. In fact, the very first time I played Pro Mod, and they just released this part of the world, I was streaming the game, and I happened to see Nessie. And I've been past here 8 times since and never seen it, and now I've just seen it. It does appear, you just have to time it right, or you can sit and wait for it. Quite a nice addition. Pro Mods tends to do that. They tend to add these little Easter egg things in there, which are kind of cool. Love that. So that answers that question. No, I won't be playing it, but I think it's absolutely brilliant. Next question from Mark Phillips Rennie at ES Librarian says, would you be better off getting support via Patreon than paid subscriptions, seeing as Twitch takes 50% of the money? Now this is an interesting question. Basically, let me explain what's going on here with that question in case you're not sure. With Twitch, Twitch has a thing where people can pay to subscribe. It's $5 a month. Twitch takes a nice chunk of that and you get the rest. And basically what that is people are paying to support the streamer. Okay? Some of it goes to Twitch, some of it goes to the streamer. It's literally financial support. Now for that, they do get some benefits. They get, you know, they don't see adverts on your channel. They get an icon next to the name. They get, you know, I give them other benefits such as ability to access my TeamSpeak. So I try to give back. Not all streamers do, but I try to give some things back to people who pay to subscribe and support the channel. Now on YouTube is a different culture. It's a different world, and it's only just getting into the whole support the broadcaster kind of story. Some people have enabled tips on their channel, where you might see an icon. Nice, dude, nice. You might see an icon on their page somewhere, on the YouTube page, which says, you know, tip the channel. You can literally give the broadcaster some money, any amount of money you want, and it helps them to keep doing what they're doing to create content, because believe it or not, we all have bills to pay. You know, I've got a house and a family to look after, and, you know, that is literally money that I need to pay. Now, what Patreon is, and what Mark's referring to, Patreon is Patreon.com, if you want to know what it is. It's basically a thing where you can go and set up a project. It doesn't have to be YouTube. It can be anything. It could say, you know, I'm doing this. Why don't you pay to support me? Okay, so you could go and create a Patreon and say, you know, I'm making videos on YouTube. Why don't you come and support me? And what you do is you create different levels of support. So you might say $5 a month, you know, and you give it a name. You know, $5 a month. You know, nutty supporter, and then you go $20 a month. You become Supreme Nutty Supporter. $50 a month, you know, Captain Nutty. $100 a month, you know, Admiral Nutty. Whatever you want. You make the levels up. And then you can set goals. You can say, if my support level reaches $500 a month, or $1,000 a month, or whatever. I mean, some people have them set $5,000 a month because, you know, I think I saw one that said, if everybody's combined support adds up to $5,000 a month, then he will turn off all his adverts on YouTube. That was like one of his goals. He said, if I get enough people to support me in this, I will turn off ads off YouTube and you'll be able to watch ad-free. That was a goal he had. The thing is about Patreon is... Scumbag car's not going to let me in. The thing is about Patreon is... It's a kind of it's built on promises. So it's okay saying, here's the different levels of support, but with each level, you have to give some certain promises. Like, for example, you could set something to $20 a month. If somebody subscribes to your Patreon and pays $20 a month, then you say, I promise to add you on Skype, or I promise to give you half an hour of driving tuition in Eurotruck every month. Yeah, this is how you can do it. You can set it up like that. You can say, if you support at this level, I promise that I will do this. And people then look at the list and go, you know what, $5 a month, I'm going to give you that just because I love your videos, yeah? Or somebody else might go, ooh, $100 a month, you're going to sit with me for an hour and give me Counter-Strike tuition. Whoa, that sounds cool, I'll pay $100 a month for that. You know, that's the kind of thing you can do. Now, why don't I have Patreon? The reason I don't really have Patreon is down to the whole promising side of it. I'd be quite happy to set up Patreon and just say, guys, if you want to support me, yeah, then you can do so here. You can just throw in $3 a month, $5 a month, whatever you can. Is greatly appreciated. For you, it might be like a burger and coffee a month in terms of monetary value, but for me, it adds up and helps me to pay the bills. However, what I can't do is I can't create those kind of promises that I'll spend time with you, because I honestly do not have time in my life. So I can't offer that back. And the reason I haven't created Patreon is because I can't find a way of offering something back and keeping the promises, because I hate breaking promises. I would hate to create a Patreon and say, you know, I'll do this and this and this, and then I don't follow through on it. That would just make honestly, I would hate that so much, and it would ruin my credibility. And that's really the reason I don't have it. If anything, I would prefer to have the tip solution. So just create a tip jar and just say, if you want to, you know, you watch a few videos, and every now and again, when you feel like it and you can afford it, throw in a few dollars in tips. I'd rather do that. It's a bit like going to a restaurant, having a nice meal, and just, you know, leaving $5 in tips because you had a good meal, the service was great, and, you know, you realise that that person who served you also needs to pay bills. So you're going to leave a tip for them. Yeah, it's exactly the same. I spoke a bit about this in the previous video, the bulldozer video, about ad block and stuff, and asked you, you know, if you consider turning off ad block and just letting the ad run. It's exactly the same. It's to support what I'm doing. That's what it's for. And that's what tips are, exactly the same. Just a simple monetary payment. No kind of subscription. Like Patreon is a subscription thing, so it will automatically take money until you stop it. With a tip solution, you just throw in the pot whenever you feel like it. Now, if people would like me to set that up, the tip thing, then I will consider doing that. And if you do, then leave a comment to say that you'd quite happily, you know, you'd actually like that. It's not something, I don't like begging, guys. I don't like sort of saying, oh, here, you know, please give me your money. Here. I don't like doing that. I'm happy to set something up if people want it and, you know, will use it and are happy with that. But I don't want to create a situation where it feels like I'm saying to you guys, please give me money. I'm not trying to do that. I'm seriously not. I'm trying to live off, you know, the ad revenue, and on Twitch, people who pay to subscribe, and I try to give things back. I'm a fair guy. I'm like give and take. I'm like, you give me this and I give you something back. Do you know what I mean? So I'm giving you videos and I'm saying, do you want to throw in a tip, yes or no? If you do, I'll put that up there. I think it's on YouTube now. I think I can do it. I can set up a tipping thing and it'll appear top right. It'll say, you know, leave a tip if you want to. But if nobody wants it, then I won't do it. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. But as for Patreon, I don't think it's going to work for me. That's a very long-winded answer to a question from Mark, but I don't think that Patreon is right for me. Unless you guys have got different ideas, in which case tell me how you think it might work based on what I've said. You know, how can I set up Patreon but not actually have that many promises to, you know, spend time teaching you how to fly FSX or something like this, because I don't have the time in my life. That solution is perfect for other people who are, you know, perhaps offering training solutions and that kind of thing, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to make content and pay the bills. That's what I'm trying to do. Typical roadworks. I don't know. Anyway, on to the next question. Comes from Smokill at SM0Kill. Hey Paul, what made you start YouTube and Twitch streaming? Ooh, what made me start? That's a fun question. I'll tell you how it got going. It got going when I was playing Battlefield 3, the beta of Battlefield 3. I was playing it on PS3 at the time, I think. And I don't know if you guys remember it, but crazy stuff happened. Like, people were walking around with giant heads, or their body was being stretched to like 100 meters long. Tanks were levitating off the ground or spinning in the air continuously. Basically, the Frostbite engine had been rewritten and there were bugs, and it was hilarious. You were on a battlefield and there was a levitating tank, that then flipped upside down for no reason while you were in it, and it was just hilarious. So I basically bought a capture card, like a Roxio capture card, started to record the content, realised that the capture card was rubbish, and then bought an AVerMedia one. Captured the footage and uploaded it to YouTube. I created a YouTube channel, uploaded the footage, and just linked it to my friends and went, look at this is insane. I then, I think, went to the Battlefield forums and just posted it there and said, look at this is hilarious. And people started watching it, and I did that for a few months, and then Battlefield came out, and I was playing with some people who were watching the videos, and we kind of formed a little clan, and we started to play as a team, you know, to play the objective, as they say. We started to do that. I recorded the videos, and I started uploading those, and then eventually, after a few months, I said, I said to myself, I'd actually like to do a commentary video at some point. You know, video where it's just me and I kind of commentate some things. I started getting some ideas about what I might do. And so I started to make my first ever commentary video, and I have to say to you, and it's still on my channel, and I have to say to you, it's dreadful. It's awful. I mean, I literally sat there with a notepad open and wrote the whole thing out, what I was going to say. Which took hours. I wrote down what I wanted to say. It took hours, and then when I basically sat there, recorded the video, and read it back, of course, you know, it's no different to watching a presentation. Like, you go to a big presentation, and the guy at the front is stood there, and he looks down at his notebook and starts to read out his presentation, and it is awful. It's dreadful. There's no engagement. He's just reading to you. And, you know, he's not looking at you, he's just reading to you. And it just sounds wooden and scripted. And it sounds almost corporate, if you like. And that's what my first video was like. It was just like me reading from a notepad. And it was dreadful. I hated it. And it took a long time. That was the other thing. It took a long time. So the next thing I decided was, you know what? This doesn't work for me. It can't take me this long to make a video, surely. So I thought to myself, how about... What's the speed limit here? 97? 97? How can the speed limit be 97 down this road? What the heck? I'm sure it's 60 miles per hour. Anyway, I thought to myself, what presenters do, what good presenters do, is they kind of write down some key things, key points, yeah? What they're going to talk about. And then they get to the key points and they'll talk about it. They have a vague idea what they're going to say, so they start to talk about it. And then when they run out of what they want to say, they look at the notes, they look at the next topic heading, and they pick that up and they talk about that. That's what I started to do. I started to make key points about what I wanted to say. And eventually those notes got shorter and shorter, and I kind of ad-libbed it more, yeah? And it was more fluid. It started to work. And I liked it. You know, and after years of doing this, eventually I just got to the point where I just sat down, hit the record button, had a vague idea what I was going to talk about, and just winged it. And that's what I do now. I don't make notes. Well, I do. That's not true. I do make notes. Now and again. For some videos I will. If there's some key points I want to make, like the Adblock one, I wrote down some points that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget anything. Just like a presenter. To make sure I had a list of topics and things I wanted to say. That was it. And then Twitch came later. So I did YouTube for about, what, 18 months, I think? Almost 2 years, I think, before I started to do Twitch. Twitch I started to do... I can't remember why I started to do Twitch, to be fair. I think I started streaming on... What was the other streaming site? It wasn't Twitch. It was called... It shut down eventually. But I ended up on Twitch, and Twitch wouldn't give me a partnership for a long time. I think I applied 3 times before they eventually gave me a partnership. Because back then, it was harder to get a partnership. You had to have something like 500 viewers. So people started to raid each other, you know, just to get a spike in views, to say, hey, look, I had 500 viewers. They didn't. Most of the time, they had 100 at a time. But when other people raided them, they had like 500. And if you did that 3 times a week, after a couple of weeks, you apply to Twitch, and Twitch would look at your stats and go, ooh, you're doing well. You've had 3 streams a week at 500 viewers. And that's all they looked at, and then gave you a partnership. But with me, they wouldn't do it. I don't know why, but whatever. That's all history. Anyway, that's how I got going. I kind of got going by doing YouTube, and Battlefield 3 beta and the Frostbite engine is what prompted me to start doing it. And it was only, you know, after I was playing Battlefield, playing DayZ, playing a lot of shooters, and the guys that I was playing with started to stream more and more, and I had a full-time job. And they stopped doing YouTube and started doing Twitch. But they were playing, like, you know, into midnight, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the morning. They were streaming like the early hours of the day, and I couldn't even join them because I had a job to get up to at 7 o'clock. So I started to look around at things to do. What can I do on my own? Because I can't, you know, the guys that I play with are not around anymore. I can't play with them. What can I do on my own? And that's when I thought, you know what? Simulation games. Or games like Car Mechanic Simulator. Like, stuff that I can do on my own is what I started to play. And I think, you know, that's really how I ended up doing what I'm doing. If that explains it. Hopefully explains it. But that's why I started, and that's how the whole thing picked up, and that's how I went in the direction I went into. And eventually I started to do both YouTube and Twitch. Which is what I do now. And I love them. I love them both for different reasons. Yeah, it's really hard trying to do both. It really, really is. But I feel like I don't want to let one of them go because I like them both. I need them both in my life. It allows me to do different things, you know? But that's another question, I guess. Next question. Connor Miclet. At Connor Miclet. Pretty simple enough. Hey, Paul, do you like curry? Well, let me tell you something. When my mother was pregnant with me, she'd never had curry in her life. Okay? And she got a craving for curry when she was pregnant with me, for no reason at all. You know how people get pregnancy cravings? She got a craving for curry. She told my dad to go and get her a curry, and he looked at her like, what? A curry? Are you serious? That was the starting point. Then when I was 3 years old, she tells me, we was in a curry house. Hang on. Yeah, it is this one. Left turn here. I thought I was about to drive past my stop point. And indeed I was. When I was 3 years old, they went to a curry house and asked me what I wanted on the menu, and I was 3 years old. And they were explaining, this is spicy, this is hot, this is really, really hot, this is blah, blah, blah. And apparently I picked out the Madras because my dad said it's really, really, really hot. And I was 3 years old. Yeah, give me the Madras! I love the Madras, Dad. And he was like, dude. Well, not dude. He said, son, you won't eat that. It's too hot. No, I want it. I want it! Like some kind of sport kid, probably. So they got me the Madras, knowing they were wasting the money. I ate the whole thing. My dad couldn't eat it. He ordered Madras, and he couldn't eat the whole thing. I ate the whole thing. I was 3 years old. Now, you might say there's something wrong with me, and you're probably right, because I made my mother want curry, and then when I was 3 years old, I ate a Madras. So, to answer your question, do I like curry? Yes. Oh, look, the offside reversed. Now, to this day, I eat very spicy food. More spicy than most people have it, to be honest, is what I do. Did that just trip onto autopilot then? It did, didn't it? There we go. I have spicy food. I love it. Chilies, peppers, can't get enough on it. Most of the time I'm asking for extra stuff. Like, I go to the Thai restaurant and I will say to them, this chili here, I want it extra spicy. And they're like, it's already spicy. I'm like, I want it extra spicy. I want extra chilies in there. Extra spicy. And they bring it out. And the best place is just, they put loads of chilies in the food, in the curry. And then they bring me a little bowl of chilies. Some put on top. Because that's the kind of level of spice that I have it. So to answer your question, do I like curry? The answer would be a resounding yes. In fact, I would say I like chilies in general, not just curry, but anything spicy. I love spicy food with a passion. But I do have it hotter than most people can tolerate. I'm going to pull up over here. Oh look, a Volvo dealer. Not even scripted. Seems like an appropriate place to stop to park my Volvo truck, wouldn't you say? Hang on. Oh, it's an MAN dealer, not a Volvo dealer. What am I talking about? I thought I sold Volvo then. MAN. Oh well, they won't mind if I park here. I'm sure. There we go. Parking brake on, and we are done. Alright, so we got through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions. Cool. I probably got enough for, well, probably 1 episode at a push 2. So I need your questions, guys. I need more. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed episode 2 of This May Contain Nuts. The AI is broken by the look of it. Look at that. What is the AI doing? He looks like he's broke down over there, doesn't he? Like his truck has failed him. Video description has details of how to ask a question. Remember, please don't @mention me. Just write your question and put hashtag TMCN. That's all you need to do. Nothing more. And follow me on Twitter. You need to do that as well. Keep the questions coming, guys, and I shall keep the episodes coming. Until the next one, take care. Happy trucking.